Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Women That Dream series. Our very special guest today is Cigdem. Cigdem is the creator of Simple Words, which is a series of decodable books and resources for striving readers. Welcome, Cigdem.
Thank you so much for having me on, Katie.
It's just so inspiring to watch your journey, your personal journey, which began with the need you saw in your own family, and how that has grown into a dream for your entire family and now families of other kids that are involved. Cigdem shared with me that they're at about 200,000, 200K of resources sold, which means there is so many families that we're waiting for this to come. And as we're talking about these dreams, they're ours. This is something that we're creating, but then they're answers to others' dreams that we're thinking, where can I find a book that is challenging, that is gives them the satisfaction of reading a whole chapter book, yet has decodable words that kids can read on their own and feel so great in their reading journey. So I'm going to ask the question I always ask, and it's, how did your dream begin? And you can start at any place. It doesn't have to be the dream of simple books. It could be as simple as the dream of giving something to your child that wasn't there. But wherever you want to tell us about the dream, tell us.
So the dream about giving my son what he wanted started when he was diagnosed in first grade with dyslexia. And we started an OG-based program, which is explicitly teaching how to read in English. And it worked well for him. He started to put sounds together, letters together, and then words together. And I knew that he needed to practice, and he didn't want to have a big book, chapter book in his hand, a big kid chapter book that his friends were reading in class. He didn't want to go into that little basket when his friends were picking books from the shelf and go to the basket and have those big illustrations and big letters and small stories. That's not what he was striving for. But unfortunately, there wasn't anything out there that he could read. And I looked around, I'm quite resourceful, and I couldn't find anything. I asked, and there was nothing. And I said, well, maybe I can start writing for him. So I'm an engineer by trade and heart and brain. So words don't come easily to me. We're all diverse. Reading is not my strong suit. Writing is even weaker. Writing in a second language is a nightmare when it comes to especially fiction. I like more nonfiction genre than fiction. It doesn't just appeal to me. It doesn't come naturally. So it was scary to say, okay, I need to start writing, but because I had to do it, there was no ifs and buts, and I had to do this. So I started writing 200 words a day. My goal was 3 times a week because he wasn't really strong in reading, and he could only read short paragraphs at that time. And I said, since he's not reading that fast and that long, I could catch up with his reading ability. And I started writing, and it would be, sitting in the car while he's playing soccer, or, my daughter is at a practice, 20, 40, 45 minutes. I would just type, write, whatever I found. If I would get an idea, I would just put a post-it somewhere, and those post-its would come with me wherever I went, because when I had the time, I would say, oh, this is a good idea that I can write 200 words on. And the dream about this becoming a little bit more than just a family project, but maybe a bigger hobby, was when I took him to his summer camp at the end of first grade. And I asked, because I'm writing like 200 words 3 times a week, and I knew that very shortly he would be surpassing my ability to write. And I said, these people would know, because this is one of the most famous schools for kids with dyslexia around here. And they said, there is nothing out there. But then they said, if you write, we'll buy. And I'm like, that's interesting. I never really put 2 and 2 together. But then I'm like, I'll do it when I retire. It's a good project. I don't have time. I'm busy. I don't know if I can really do this the way they think it will turn out. So I was putting myself down, as typically many females do. And then I met the lady who actually created the program that my son was using. I drove up to Boston and we had an amazing chat, and she was talking about her experience. She used to teach adults how to read, and she said, I need to create something for kids because I don't want to work with people who went through this journey for 20, 30, 40 years when I can stop it when they're in elementary school. And she dropped everything and she had no idea how to do it, but she said she had a calling and she had to follow that. And at that moment, I just remember saying, I know what I'm doing and it's working. I see it. I used to just print out PDFs and give to my friends' kids to read, and the feedback would be amazing. They're saying, oh my God, they're reading. They're so proud. They're so happy. This is great. You need to publish it. Yeah, I'll do it when I retire. And considering I was in my 30s, I had a long way for retirement. And I said, you know what, I just had to do this now. And those, I think, three key moments coming together created, what today I say as my full-time job.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. And I think the framework of when it was created, and I shared with you before we hopped on here, is I remember you sharing so many years ago how you were riding in a car, and that just stuck with me because it was little chunks of time that you had being a full-time leader in your company, being a mom to two little ones. And yet, here's the time you found in between practices that not in between practices, in between life during practices that you were dedicating to this. And then I feel like every piece of the story that you share, just flying out to meet this woman in Boston, it was so, you were so open to wherever that was taking you, right? Like you didn't know, you were like, I'm just going to go have this conversation. It might not be, for anything other than a conversation, right? Like it's not, there wasn't like a plan, so to speak. And I think it's important to know that dreams can be built in 20-minute chunks of time in between life and during practices. And also, it's the openness to connect, right? There's these connections that you said. The connection you mentioned was very beautiful as you were giving it to other kids to read, right? And you weren't looking for feedback, but there you go. It was your market research and realizing, oh, wow, it's helping others. I want to talk a little bit about challenges. So there were challenges that came with this. We talked kind of about the time challenge, being busy, full-time working, but there's other challenges in bringing books and publishing them, right? And illustrating and all of these parts that come with it. So what challenges have you encountered that seemed like kind of closed door, but yet it was another one opening?
I think the biggest one is when I said, okay, let's publish these, and everybody wants them published. The first thing that comes to mind is the traditional publishing. And I did my research, and I understand that I had to get an agent or have an in for with the traditional publishers. Of course, in my head, this is such a great idea. Everybody loves it. People, the world made this, and who's gonna say no to this idea? I don't think this is gonna sell. Just doesn't make sense. Like, what's dyslexia? Like, who? What? This just doesn't make you. I don't think you're gonna be able to sell this. So it was no, 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 continuously from agents, from traditional publishers, people who even I even reached out to people who edit or typeset, saying, "You're in the industry. Like, what do you think?" And like, this is just an odd concept. Like, everybody's like, oh, you mean like Dr. Seuss books? It's like, no, I'm talking about like big chapter books. They're not just kids' books. And I think people just didn't understand the vision I had. And I think if you don't experience the need, then they will say, just why don't they just pick up some other book? Like, they can't tell, why not? Like, I think there was just that big gap that I quickly realized that I wasn't going to be able to close with my resources. This needed a lot bigger movement behind me. And there were some people who understood the concept that weren't in the publishing world, in the educational world. And they said, yeah, I think we need this, we need this. And that was my fire, right? I knew that people who were at the trenches, in the trenches, like saying this, I'm teaching the kids, yes, we need it. And people in their offices who are looking through concepts of books, they didn't understand it. And I said, okay, so how do I surpass those people? And I said, I can self-publish. And I was like, so what is self-publishing? I had to, again, like connect with people who have done self-publishing. I took courses. I even actually went to a course for how to write children's books. It was just a lot of things I've done. They didn't take that long time, just kind of bang, bang, bang. I would say, okay, this month I'm focusing on this, that month I'm focusing on that. And I would immerse myself in that topic. And every single minute I had, I might be, eating lunch at work and, Googling things on like how to find an editor on my own, or how to do the typesetting. What's a typesetting? Or what size of book sells better? So about illustrations, the font, and all that stuff was just done literally 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes chunks at a time.
Yeah.
And I would listen to a lot of podcasts of people who have published books, market books, and just listen to them while I'm driving, while I'm washing the dishes, cooking. It's just kind of immerse my every moment that I had free. And when I say free, there's always another thing going on the side, as you can notice. But it was just kind of feeding my mind, and maybe not everything was sticking. Probably if I sat down and took really good notes, it would have been better. But I don't think I would have gotten that done because I just never had an hour to myself.
Yeah.
By the time I had an hour to myself, my brain was so fried.
Great.
All I wanted to do was just go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great awareness to have too, that not to let the time kind of, I don't want to say excuse, like the time limitations, right? Stop us, where it's like, well, when I have an hour, I'll do this, because that might never happen. You might be, still waiting for the retirement, to have that hour to yourself. And I love the continuous thread in your story of resourcefulness, being really resourceful, listening to people that already have done it, podcasts, classes, all immersing yourself in this while doing, having a full-time career and full-time, parent. And I'm sure there were some things that you didn't resonate with, right? Like some advice, and you were like, no, I'm not going to do it that way. There was some part where you knew that the goal that you were working towards is needed certain resources. I also know that you mentioned that briefly, you would need like an army behind you. And I know that you've created really great connections with others in the field, and you are now able to kind of exchange, like you're building almost the field for those that are working in dyslexia, or organizing resources for that. And I know you mentioned like knowing what font to use, and, illustrations, it's all, a bit of trial and error too.
Yes.
Right. So
definitely.
Now having published, how many books do you have out?
Myself, 15.
15 books published. From going from that first one to the 15th, what has changed?
I think the biggest thing that changes me, how I see, myself, my business, the world, and my values have changed a lot. And how I do my business has changed. And my first book is here, right? Like this is 4th edition, because there were a lot of things that wasn't right the first time around. Second time around, third time around. And 4th time, yeah, I still can get things done. I just got an email saying, yeah, this part is still not clear. But that's all. That was okay with me. I was very scared of, well, what will people think about me? Or will they like it? What if someone doesn't like it? And it was a big struggle for me to be okay with what people want, because I had to shift my focus on what people say about me to how many people I'm helping. If I'm helping 1 kid, 10 kid, 100 kids, and I never in the wildest dreams thought that we would sell 200,000 books and workbooks of simple words alone. I never even imagined that. But I was saying, and if I have these, like, again, 1, 10, 100 were the numbers I had in mind, then it would be okay with me. I don't care what they say. Those people maybe not liking it, but what are they not liking? What can I change so that they can actually say, okay, this has improved. So I changed my mindset quite a bit, and that was a bit of a struggle, to say the least, early on. Um, my later ones are now, more of a process, right? I didn't have a process. I was just, you know, okay, I need to do this. I need to find typesetting. Oh, what, how is it? To now, okay, I know I have a process. I know this is the order I do it. This is the people I go to, and it's a lot easier. And it's just the kind of growth comes with the experience. But honestly, when I first did the probably like first 3 books, I didn't even know what my next step was. I just said, I'm brave enough to do this because the next step will follow. Somebody will say, this is what comes after. Have you done this? And people are very generous. When you ask for help and they know that you're not just dreaming and you'll never take action. The more action I took, the more people wanted to help, because they were saying, okay, like, I see how she's growing, and I always reached out saying, how can I help you too? And it's just became a really good support group with teachers who support me and teach me what the kids need to, friends, my female group that behind me saying, it's okay, just keep on going, don't believe on those small talk you have in your head, those ants saying, oh, you can't do this, you don't have time. And they were all supporting the emotional side. And then I had the professionals who were helping me with the publishing side. And this wasn't just something that I woke up and I said, I can do this, and it happened. It was a lot of, I think, struggle bit by bit, and I grew. I used to think like my biggest value was security and certainty. Just kind of, that's how I grew up, with a lack of mentality. Let's just, like, keep everything close to your chest and save every dime you have. You never know what tomorrow will bring. To a lot more adventures in between. I was like, oh my God, like, I like the growth, I like the accomplishments I'm doing. I feel like I'm soaring. To now, it's just like a content feeling that I know I'm leaving a mark in this world. The world is a better place for kids who are struggling to read because I took action. And I left my corporate job in between not too long ago, doing this full time. And I think that also just kind of brings everything home. Now I'm just so immersed in something I love. I have so much gratitude for it.
It's so beautiful, which brings another question for me. And it's about whether it's now or in the past, right? When you encourage that challenge, you talked about, the negative self-talk or other people's opinion of you holding you back, or just not holding you back, being aware of them, that they're going to be there. So what has helped you? You said your friends, but what is there anything that you found, maybe a practice for yourself, or a way of switching that off, reframing that negative self-talk, and is it still there now, and how do you kind of navigate it now?
It's not there all the time, but when I have to do something that is very scary for me, because maybe I've never done it, I can feel it's creeping out. And it's all about the awareness, right? That now I know what I say to myself. And as I start hearing, or even, my physiology changes, and I'm aware of it. Like, I start getting these, oh my God, my cheeks are warm. I'm starting to feel tingly. As soon as I start feeling those things, I say, okay, this is needed. You need to do this. You've done this before. What is the worst thing that can happen? I think that is my biggest question. What is the worst thing that can happen? And that calms me down. I couldn't meditate before. I somewhat meditate now. That kind of keeps my, I think, worries down. I try to listen to something positive every day if I can. I've done, I don't know if anybody likes or even follows Tony Robbins. He's been life changing for me. I listen to his free YouTube videos, just kind of hearing him just go, you can do this, you can do this, like, yeah, I can do this, yeah, I just kind of pump myself up, right? It's just um it really kind of like, now I'm saying it kind of like sounds really stupid, but like doing it, it's really is working for me. And I think everybody has to find what works for them.
Yeah.
I visualize a lot, and I have done a lot of visualization on, you know, like writing my next book. I'm holding my next book. I see my set of books on the shelf. I see them in the classroom. Kids are reading with a big smile on their faces. And I like remember like giving my resignation to work. And, you know, all these I have visualized, and everything I visualize kind of comes back to me being real. And if you believe in it, I think that kind of makes sense. And if you like, what? You really have to try. I didn't believe in it when I was first told about how to visualize, how to manifest. I'm an engineer, like, where's the proof? It doesn't make sense. Do you have any data on this? You know? And I just put a blind faith in the practices that I heard work for a lot of people that I respected, and they were successful people, and I wanted to become them. Like, you know, they could be in relationship, like you want to have someone who has still a loving, passionate relationship, and they've been married for 40, 50 years. Then I was like, well, what do you guys do? Maybe I don't get business advice from them, but I get relationship advice from them. Someone in, you know, teaching, I might ask them, you know, what do you see in the classroom? Like, what would make a kid happy? How are they empowered? How do they believe that they like reading? How do they stop saying those, you know, negative talk, saying, I don't like books, I don't like to read? How do
Mhm.
we stop that? And they, you know, they tell me, and I, you know, again, like every different area that I would say, like, who are the people that I would like to model? And I asked them, and a lot of them would actually have these practices. You know, they visualize and they're kind, they have gratitude.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, maybe I should be grateful for something, you know? And then when you start looking, there's so many things to be grateful for. And that starts changing the mindset. And then when you're so happy with what you do, and I'm seeing the progress and I'm grateful, it's really hard to say, oh my God, you're so stupid, Chidam, you didn't do that. You know, it just doesn't even come close to, like, I would have to be effortfully saying, oh, I'm doing a really bad job, or, you know, it just disappears. It's
I
almost
love it.
magical,
Yeah.
but
No, but
again, it's the blind faith that you put in it that is gonna work out, and just kind of doing it day after day when you're not seeing results for the first
yeah.
couple of days, because I'm really action oriented and progress oriented and results oriented. Like, I manifested for 3 days, so nothing happened. How is this possible? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, like that blind faith, and this is gonna all work out.
I love it. And you know, I love the evolution of that, right? Where it's like, oh, maybe I'll try this. Like once again, being open-minded to trying something and you know, being observant. And you talked about the awareness. I loved when you talked about like how you feel it in your body. And now you can ask yourself, you know, you face your fear with, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? And whatever, you know, your mind responds to you, you kind of like, you can dismiss that, or you can be like, okay, that's a possibility, but that's okay. I'm okay with it, you know, instead of letting it just our mind create the monsters and the biggest things and us being like, yes, that's it. I don't even want to dive deeper. I'm scared already. Let me run away. It's like, okay, what is the worst thing? That's such a great way of saying it. And also with you walking this path for your child, for your family, now for families of others, and having that door close with the conventional publishing and opening the door with self-publishing, now you have created another opportunity to help others. And I would love for you to share with us how you're helping other authors now.
So one thing I've done in life and with my business for sure is, like, if an opportunity comes and I feel like inside that, oh my God, this is it, I always find a way to do it. That's how I have always been. And I think we are all like that. And sometimes, you know, we downplay what our abilities are. You know, it could be something, maybe, you know, maybe getting a homework done at the last minute. And like, this is like, you got to do this. You might have waited for a whole month. But when it's the last hour, the 11th hour, you get it done. Maybe you needed, you know, some money for something for your kids, and you just find a way to make it work, right? And I'm always like that, and it's that feeling I have. I know it will be done. So I remember when schools would say, oh, we need to get a PO from you, or can we give you a PO? Do you ship? I'm like, sure I do. And like, how do you do this? And I would go and figure it out. So when someone that I really liked and respected came to me and said, I wrote a story, but I have no idea to publish. And I said, oh, I can help you self-publish. And he said, no, I want you to publish for me. Can you do it? And I'm like, sure, I can do it. I just need to figure out how. But I really wanted his story to be told. He had a really unique idea, and I think the world would benefit from it. And he said he didn't have time, but he had the means to do it. He just wanted to someone that he trusted with his story. And he said, in my heart, I feel it's you. And I'm like, okay, now you're touching the soft part in my heart. Of course I'll do it for you. And I'm like, okay, I have to figure it out. And I figured out how to publish for other people that weren't writing in decodable genre. And then I started reaching out because I really enjoyed it, and I started putting it out there because I have noticed that there weren't many diverse characters that were dyslexic. And it's always the white successful kid struggling, but always makes it happen. It could be like Percy Jackson, who's dyslexic, and the son of the gods, and he can make everything happen, to someone who's a student and has a wonderful teacher that inspires her. But I always felt like there had to be more diversity, because dyslexia is affecting 1 in every 5 child, and it's not just a specific gender, it's not specific ethnicity, it's not specific country, it's all around the world. And with my books, I was very careful about having always a female and male character, but I know my diversity was limited. I would have like the friend group would all be diverse, but I really wanted those lead characters, those stories that are from diverse backgrounds. And I put it out there in the world again, and I started saying, like, who are those people who has an amazing story to tell? And then they started coming to me, and people started connecting me with people. So now I have published some amazing stories, and I kind of created a process for a dyslexic who might not want to write. We could record. It could be all like they could be, what do you call that? Like you give it to someone and they transcribe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they transcribe it, and then we create a book. Because most of the dyslexics are really good with their words, but they kind of lose that momentum when they're typing. So I said, what do you need? How do you do this? And we created a different process for them, and some amazing stories have now come to life. And I feel so grateful to be part of that dream that came true and be a vessel for them to share their stories with the world.
That's incredible, because I feel like that piece of, not just the publishing piece, but even the writing piece, you're right. Like if the stories are not shared, right, they can be shared orally, right? But then it's only open to, whoever's in front of you. Where once you put it in print, it's available, now in our world, it's available worldwide. And it's almost like giving the voice to those stories through books, which is incredible. Or even through the process where, you might have an incredible story to tell, but you're not even going to attempt it because you're like, well, I don't know, what's the support, right? You're creating the support for it to feel like it is not just feel, creating a support for a process that is easy to follow and able to do. So that's incredible how your dream keeps evolving, right? And if you were to think, remind me, when did you write the first book, Sam is Stuck?
2016.
6 years ago. 6 years is such a short time in our life timeline, right? But from that book, this is where you are now, and this is just, it's going to keep growing, right? It's going to keep growing and touching others in whatever ways we might not even imagine. I'm sure the publishing for others was not created as a vision board, like 6 years ago. It evolved.
Yes.
And I just, that's one of the things I'm learning myself is what our mind can imagine. Even, like we talk about dreams, right? And sometimes people say, well, I don't really have big dreams, or, I don't know how to dream. And they don't have to be that. They don't have to be. Some people are really great at it and they can dream like, with no limitations. And for others, like you mentioned, like depending where we're coming from, our dreams might be framed by the family we grew up in, by the place we grew up in, by, teachers we've had, right? That could influence how we imagine ourselves in a future, right? And that's okay too, because you can dream whatever dream it is. It doesn't have to be defined, like, right? We don't have to be, nobody's classifying dreams, right? It's just a dream. So it started there, it's evolving. As long as we, from your story, I'm just getting so much continuous reminder of being open, staying open, being teachable, like being willing to learn things, know things that you might not know, but be like, okay, but I can learn them. You don't have to know all the things, right? And just the awareness of the thoughts, and then how, what you feel in your body. That's so incredible in this. Any inspiration that you would give to people that have like an idea or a dream? There might be some hesitation, there might be time limitations, there might be resource limitations. What would you say would be your inspiration, your invitation for them to explore?
Time is always very big for me because everybody has the same amount of time. That is the biggest equalizer, I think, on this planet. I have same time as you have, and we have the same time as like Steve Jobs, Walt Disney. Look at these people who changed the world, right? The way we live today. I mean, they had 24 hours and 7 days a week too. So time for me, and I used to say, I don't have enough time, I'll do it later. And I have stopped that because I know it's what I prioritize that gets done. And sometimes it's not the business, and that's okay too. Sometimes it's myself, my family, my health, or maybe just doing something that is just maybe not even a value to anyone, but I feel like it's just an investment that I'm doing. Maybe maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's just an opening that I want to experience, and something new might come out, and maybe nothing will come out. And then there's the business, which is all go 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 go, which is I enjoy it, but it's more structured, right? So whatever the priority is for that minute, day, time, and that's what gets done. I think we always say, oh, like I need to do so much more. I always say 2 millimeters. If we can just do 2 millimeters every day, it becomes so big in a month, in a year, in 10 years. Like I still can't believe I'm here in 6 years. And I'm not a person who likes to push too quickly because I get overwhelmed, and I am very results oriented, as I said, and I need to see results. So with 2 millimeters, the results are 2 millimeters closer. When I go for a mile, I can't even see where the results are. So I always had that long term vision, but I always focused on short things because that's what got me going early on, and just knowing what drives you. And it's always like, I always believe, if you have this comfort level, growth always happens like 2 millimeters out of your threshold, and you have to continuously push it bit by bit, gently. And like for some people that I know, I respect so much, they can take those big leaps every single day. For me, I go little by little because I need to feel it. I need to find that there's balance. And then something happens and I take a big leap. And even if I fall back, I never fall back to where I start. Because I'm always like, it's almost like saying falling forward, right? So I always say, okay, what's the worst thing can happen? I'm gonna fall back, but I'm gonna be 2 millimeters, 4 millimeters ahead of where I started. And that's okay with me as well. And I think the biggest driver of all this was finding a purpose. Like writing is not my passion, it's still not my passion. But there's a purpose, there's a bigger force that kind of pulls me. I feel like every time I sit in front of my computer, like I did with my corporate job, I'm not pushing things through. I'm not pushing papers. I'm not pushing ideas. There's a pull to it. It just energizes me. And I think if you kind of find those that energy that kind of pulls you up, then I think things happen a lot naturally. And don't think like, oh, but that's not my passion, because believe me, like writing is not my passion. I still don't read fiction books, and I write them for a living. And it's but it's again that knowing that somebody's life is better because I'm putting the work is my passion, I guess I can say.
That's so beautiful. That's a beautiful way to kind of leave a beautiful note to leave people on, to really tune into that purpose work and passion work. Um, well, purpose and then passion comes because it's purpose. It might be not passion for the actual work, right? Because there's always going to be things that we need to get done, not necessarily love getting them done, right?
Mhm.
But the purpose behind it is going to make you finish it, find ways to finish it, create it. So the purpose behind it is really what makes the dream possible. If the dream is a dream without a purpose, I don't know that it's a dream.
That's so true.
So, Cheatham, thank you so much for joining us. You can find Cheatham at simplewordsbooks.com. I'll leave all of her social media and her website information in the notes for this video. And I encourage you to reach out and connect. And Cheatham has so many resources for you too. So outside of the books, that if you have a child, or maybe it's you, maybe you're the one that needs support with reading, as Cheetah mentioned, if it's something that maybe wasn't, you didn't get a support when you were growing to read, there's always time. So no, so if you're a parent of a child, or if you're a parent yourself or human yourself needing this, I encourage you to reach out, check out the resources, and know that there's always a solution for you, and always an answer to whatever you're trying to achieve. So Cheatham, thank you so much for shining your light and sharing your incredible story and the ways that you have grown through it, and inspiration. It's just so inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie.